Just a year after the fires of rebellion burned across Luthadel, a new threat looms over the city, and it's not the two armies camped just beyond its walls. A horde of murderous Koloss is poised to strike at the city, leaving devastation in its wake. At their head, a former Luthadel nobleman, now king, and once dear friend of Elend Venture. In this video, we'll explore the life and travels of Jastes Lekal. Jastes Lekal was a Luthadel nobleman in the line of succession of House Lekal. While not ranked among the wealthiest of the great houses of Luthadel, House Lekal was a well-respected and influential house before the fall of the Final Empire. While we don't have canon details of Jastes in his youth, we do know quite a bit about what it was like to grow up in noble society. Jastes was likely born in Luthadel and would spend his childhood in comfort. He would be educated on the ways of court and would likely spend some time traveling his family's lands in the south, as well as visiting the noble houses across the Final Empire. Before coming of age, Jastes would undergo a ritual that all noble children would undergo before adulthood. He would be taken by his own family and savagely beaten in an effort to make him snap, manifesting latent allomantic abilities if he had any. Unfortunately for Jastes, this was a brutally wasteful effort. As far as we know, Jastes was not an allomancer. Upon coming of age, Jastes would be introduced into noble society. He would begin to regularly attend balls by the great houses across the city, helping spread the influence of House Lekal, making alliances, and participating in political intrigue. During one such ball, he would meet Elend Venture and Teldon Hastings, forming a friendship bonded by a mutual love of philosophy. In particular, Elend and Jastes would grow close. The group of young nobles would spend their evenings during the balls socializing, then retire to a private study to discuss politics and philosophy. While this may appear as a straightforward friendship, the politics of the group was quite strange for the time. As heir to the wealthiest family in all of Luthadel, who Elend Venture spent his time with was a highly political statement. The fact that he mixed with the members of Hastings and Lekal's families was taboo, since the families were stark political rivals. One might assume that for Jastes, this relationship was some kind of political move, but I believe this was a genuine friendship built on mutual trust and respect. During their meetings, Jastes, Teldon, and Elend would discuss books and topics that could easily earn them the ire of the Steel Ministry, possibly even risking execution. Any one of the young nobles could use this information as blackmail or even an outright attack to gain the advantage in the highly competitive noble society. From all appearances, none of the members of this group of philosophers used their knowledge for political gain. Jastes in particular showed a loyalty and care for Elend that was rare among the nobility. When Vin, posing as valet Renew, caught Elend's attention, it was Jastes who would encourage Elend to take care and be wary of this new element in court. He would even go as far as to have Vin tailed to uncover what plots the mysterious valet was up to in the city. A more cutthroat and politically savvy rival might have leveraged Valet as a way of damaging the Venture house, furthering the interests of House Lekal. Jastes and Elend's relationship was the true ideal of the philosophies they discussed in their quiet studies, a manifestation of unity and the future that they both believed in, and dreamed of implementing when they led the great houses of Luthadel. The house war prompted by Kelsier's crew had a massive impact on House Lekal. While we don't have the details, we know that Kelsier himself attacked or otherwise disrupted Keep Lekal at least once. During the House War, a combination of direct attacks and assassinations, and the shifting economic and political factors would stress all of the great houses. While some houses would fall altogether, some of House Lekal would endure. On the night of the revolution that led to the death of the Lord Ruler, Elend would order his house guard to join with the remaining Lekals in Luthadel to help secure the city. The resulting action mostly occurs in the background, however, and the next we hear from Jastes, his position in society had changed quite a bit. Having likely fled during the lead up to the revolution in Luthadel, the remaining House Lekal nobles moved to Lekal City, the family's country estate. As the Final Empire shattered, many of the powerful nobles who survived the Ska Revolution would set themselves up as kings of their own dominance. Despite not being a direct heir of the house title, Jastes was either the only one left to inherit the title or the most qualified. Regardless, Jastes would take on the title of King Lekal and claim the southern dominance as his own. Following in Elend's footsteps, Jastes would implement many of the laws and political theories that he spent his youth dreaming about. Unfortunately, the political opposition in the newly formed Southern Kingdom was not as stable as it was in Luthadel. Jastes would meet fierce opposition to his rule, resulting in the death of his sister and many other family members. In a desperate attempt to secure power, Jastes would somehow manage to trick an entire army of Kolos into entering his employ. Jastes would manufacture fake wooden currency in order to pay the army. This tactic worked, but the chaotic nature of the Kolos could not be contained by money alone. They would constantly fight and rage within their camp, occasionally boiling to the point of attacking nearby villages to sate their bloodlust. Jastes formed a desperate plan. He would move his army of Kolos to Luthadel to capture the Lord Ruler's Atium, leveraging the wealth to secure his title as king. Fully disillusioned of his youthful philosophy, Jastes began his march to attack his once great friend and bring destruction to Luthadel and the Central Dominance. During his travels to Luthadel, Sazed would stumble across Jastes and his army of Kolos. During this meeting, we would get a window into the stressful and fatalistic determination that was driving Jastes. Gone was the refined nobleman philosopher. The confluence of the house war and political struggles in his new kingdom had pushed Jastes to his limit. Despite the increased pressures of his new kingdom, we do get a small glimmer of the man who was once Elend's closest friend. In their parting words, Jastes would open the door to a peaceful resolution. He would take the Atium and spare the city. Jastes even went as far as suggesting that he and Elend could be allies in the future. Deep down, Jastes feared the Kolos and feared what destruction they might bring if fully left to their bloodlust. Jastes would continue with his army and march on Luthadel, camping just outside the city limits. Soon after arriving, Elend would visit Jastes in his camp in a last-ditch effort to recruit the Kolos army to the defense of Luthadel. Sadly, gone were the days of Elend and Jastes passionately sharing their philosophies and ideals over a drink in a comfortable den. The confrontation between the two would be heated and bear no sign of a past friendship. Jastes, determined to bring order to his own kingdom, Elend, disgusted that Jastes would even consider unleashing Kolos on a populated city. Things would hit a boiling point when Jastes attempted to take Elend prisoner. Months of training had paid off. Elend was not only able to easily subdue Jastes, he was also able to slay a Kolos as he exited the camp. With no hope of negotiation, Elend left the camp to prepare for the worst. Days later, sabotage would cause the reserve of Jastes' fake currency he had been using to pay the Kolos to be destroyed. With no way of controlling the Kolos, Jastes and his remaining human guards would flee and head north. Around the same time, Sazed, Ham, Breeze, and Clubs would convince Vin, Spook, and Elend to flee Luthadel to seek aid, though their true motive was to simply allow for the youngest and most hopeful members of the crew to escape the inevitable destruction of Luthadel. While on their travels, Elend's party would encounter Jastes and his guards for the last time. Jastes would break down in front of Elend. He would recount his flight from the Kolos camp and the fear that drove him to abandon the army. Jastes' last words was a plea for Elend's forgiveness. Elend would grant this, but bring about justice for the lives soon to be lost by the Kolos assault. In one swift motion, Elend beheaded Jastes, ending the life of his oldest friend, now turned most dangerous enemy. After the siege of Luthadel was ended by Vin, Ruin would be released. In the Southern Dominance, Jastes' uncle, Jastes Lekal, would become the king of the Southern Dominance and swear loyalty to the now Emperor Elend Venture, though his time in Elend's new kingdom would not last long. Lekal City would be destroyed by ash and lava from a nearby ash mound, claiming the life of the new king of the Southern Dominance along with many of his subjects. Despite the fall of Lekal City, some of the family would survive the Catasandra. We hear passing mentions of a politically focused Lekal family mentioned by the governor of Elendel, showing that the family not only survived the changing world, but seems to be thriving. This has been the life and travels of Jastes Lekal. For more of the histories and mysteries of the Cosmere, visit investedinthecosmere.com.